Good afternoon. Welcome to today's edition of the Coal Seam. I'm Chris Hamilton, and I'll be hosting today's program. And joining me in the studio is Senator Randy Smith, who serves as chairman of the State Senate's Energy, Industry, and Mining Committee, which, as you know, I'm sure, is one of the most powerful committees within the legislature, given the energy strong programs that we have here in the state of West Virginia. Randy, thanks so much for coming by.
Thanks for having me today, Chris. Appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule here while the legislature's in. And I know you don't have that much time on your hands because you still work full time within the coal industry. We can talk a little bit about that, but I know you're off and running, and over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of monumental legislation that's come out of your committee since you've been here in the Senate, and of course you were in the House before that.
Yeah, I spent 4 years in the House of Delegates, 2 years on the Energy Committee, Vice Chair of Energy in the House over coal, and now I'm in the Senate, and I'm chairman of the Senate Energy Committee. So I guess I got coal, gas, oil, solar, wind, all aspects.
We were just talking about that, you know, with West Virginia being an energy state, and there is more than coal. You know, some of us don't like to admit that, but as it relates to the responsibility of your committee in the legislature, there's just a lot of, probably half the bills and legislation and the building deals with energy one way or the other when you think about it.
Yeah, that's true. You know, it affects, the energy sector somewhere, whether it's a tax bill or, a regulatory bill or whatever. Most of them affects, if not directly, indirectly, the energy. And we are an energy producing state. That's our power, our stronghold is that we're an energy producing state, and we have a lot of energy.
Well, we have, we've always had a real strong coal industry, and of course we, had some problems here the last 7 or 8 years with the last presidential administration. We lost a lot of our production. We lost a lot of our working miners. Seems to be a little recovery going on at the present time. But we're sitting on all this natural gas today too. And those of us in the coal industries always have said we're the energy state here nationally, and the oil and gas people are beginning to say that as well. So we truly have an abundance of energy here.
Yeah, that's one thing you can say about West Virginia. Oil and gas, or especially gas, the development of gas is a hot topic at the Capitol this year. I'm sure you're going to see some gas bills come out of the House and Senate, and some regulatory legislation that is going to come out of there. The main thing with gas is we got to make sure we do it right. Coal, over especially the last 20 years, we've cleaned up the state quite a bit with the new regulations, environmental regulations, safety regulations. I started in 1979. I'm going on close 39 years. This July will make 39 years in the mining industry, and
wow.
So I've seen it at its highest peak, and I've seen it at its lowest low now, especially these last 7 or 8 years. And this past administration was, some people like to call it the war on coal or whatever your terminology wants to be, but it not only hurt us with our production, but it really hurt the way that as a nation that they look at the coal industry. That's all they've been preached to is how bad the coal industry was for the last 7 or 8 years. There was so much talk about how bad the coal industry, how dirty the coal industry, and we never got credit for any of the, good stuff that we did, with whether it be regulations, environmental regulations, because, they can say what they want to. We've sort of cleaned up our act from 30, 40, 50 years ago. and you know, we're environmental friendly now. The operation I work at, you know, the state of Maryland at our mine site or water treatment raises trout for the Stalker streams in Maryland and in the borders of West Virginia and Maryland.
Wow.
So, you know, you don't raise trout. You know, I'm a trout
No.
producer too, and you don't raise trout in bad water, but you never hear any of the good, positive stuff. You haven't for years. And, you know, the technology advancement that's been made in the coal industry, you know, with, you know, gas testing and tracking of coal miners. And there's just been so many, you know, safety regulations that has came in to really help the coal industry. So you never hear any of the good, but we've heard plenty of the bad. So maybe we can get it turned around and you know, shed some light on what's good in the coal industry.
I'm all in, as you know, and you're exactly right. You can look at any aspect of this industry or business and mark the improvement from 10, 15, 20 years ago. You know, it is a safe environment, and safety is a shared responsibility. Everybody has to do their job, and you know, you'll prevent accidents. When you talk about the, you know, from an air pollution or air quality, you know, we put scrubbers, we put, you know, no low NOx burners, and just literally billions of dollars into our in-state fleet of coal plants. And you know, the air is pretty clean coming out of those plants. You know, we've taken care of all the particulate matter and sulfur and mercury. And you know, the big issue today is you know, carbon dioxide. And they say that contributes to greenhouse gases and climate change. But I'm forever amazed when I hear of the word clean coal technology and how it's coming. I mean, it's here when you think about it.
Yeah, it's here.
Because you know, what's coming out of those smokestacks is not smoke, it's
steam.
It's steam.
That's
and
the
water
hardest
vapor.
thing. The hardest thing to get people to realize that it's not smoke coming out of them smokestacks. It's steam coming
It is
out after
steam.
the coal. You know, it's been scrubbed. So that's the hardest thing.
And reclamation. I mean, we do such a great job with on-the-ground reclamation today. I mean, these guys operate these dozers with tremendous skill. I mean, they're out there, you know, almost sculpting and reconfiguring the land. And if you want to leave something there, they have the ability to create the foundation for it. Then we have all the, you know, the hordes of people, everybody from biologists to chemists to people with land architectural backgrounds that come in and help with the reclamation.
Yeah. One of the eye-openers I had for being up north, you know, we had strip jobs, small strip jobs, and you know, mostly underground mines up there. And had been on the Natural Resource Committee, I had the opportunity to go to the Earl Ray Tomlin wildlife areas there where they're restoring the elk, and that's, you know,
Major.
reclaimed
Yeah.
mine land. And, you know, that's some pretty rugged territory down there. And, you know, to see that and to see how it's being used, and you can't tell looking at it that it's ever been mined. And, you know, the wildlife that's, that we've seen on that, you know, that night, we've seen white-tailed deer, we've seen elk, they've seen coyotes, even seen a rabbit, you know, the wildlife there. And we was just there for a very short time, but it's, you know, that's another good thing that people don't realize. You know, you can use the land and restore it.
We have put together, and we've become so good here over the past 20 years. And maybe we should have been doing it for 50 or 70, but the fact is we're doing a really good job as an industry of trying to determine, you know, what could be here, like you say, whether it's a convention center or a regional jail. Right now there's an ongoing partnership with the National Guard, and there's airdrop sites, you know, there's training sites. They're bringing people in from all over the country to teach them how to operate certain military vehicles on reclaimed mine lands. You know, it wasn't from a surface mine, but it's post mining where the Cabela's is in the northern part of the state.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, there's no signs of
Very familiar
mining
with that.
anywhere around there.
Yeah.
And And then over in the Morgantown area, within a half a mile from, the ballpark, there's a major reclamation site that supports, the local economy by having businesses on it and commercial outlets and all. So, that's worked out really well. And right now, where you mentioned the Earl Ray Tomlin Center, that's all new. I think there's some ongoing activity with the National Guard there as well.
Yeah, it's like I said, it was an eye opener, because of not being familiar with that area. But
the district, how many counties is in your district? Is Senate District 14,
Senate District 14,
northern part of the state?
Yes, I have 5 full counties and 3 partial counties. My district goes clear from Virginia line and Hardy County. I have all of Hardy County, pick up parts of Mineral. Grant comes up through there, picks up all Tucker, all Preston County, all Barber County, all Taylor County, and part of Mon County.
Mon County, okay.
So yeah, it's a big district.
It's a big district.
Big district. A lot of national forests in my district. A lot of state parks.
I know you've pushed to try to get Wi-Fi and computer lines up in that area over the past
Rural
couple of
broadband.
years.
I'm a
Rural
big
broadband.
proponent of rural broadband or broadband. I just feel without broadband, our state's not going to move forward economically or educationally, because we're that's the way of the world. It's just the way you do business anymore. It's the way you do education. We have our students are, a lot of them graduate, go to college, can take online classes, and then in rural West Virginia, you're going to have to go to town, go to a McDonald's or someplace to get service to do your homework. And same way, something simple as running a part-time eBay business. You have to have high-speed internet, to upload your pictures or whatever. So, and even people don't realize it, but even in the coal industry, we depend so much on broadband, high-speed internet anymore, because everything's so computerized, and you're connected with.
Well, you take it for granted. If you're sitting here in the middle of Charleston, you take it for granted.
I can probably say that's, being from a rural area, small town, that's the only thing that I look forward to coming to Charleston for, is I get good high-speed internet right in Charleston. So, I always joke with people, like I said, well, how you like it? And I said, well, about what I like about most is I have high-speed internet. So.
Well, and it's one of those things, if you do take it for granted.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, we take it for granted around here just like any other electrical device in the house.
Yeah.
Because
it's a huge problem in our rural areas, and I've been, for 5 years, I've fought that, and honestly, even helped probably get the Senate president fired, because he worked for a internet provider, and when we passed the internet bill last year, they said it didn't have anything to do with it, but he let the bill go through, and I applaud him for that, because he could have just as easily killed that broadband bill, but he left it go through. But people don't think about that. With we rely on it a lot at the mines, and
well, I know you've been crusading for it. People not only in your district but all over the state that live in rural areas ought to be thankful for your efforts there.
Well, only thankful, but I am a big proponent.
You started that when you were in the House.
First year in the House, the first 2 years in the minority, I didn't get anything done. I thought when it finally got in the majority, I thought I'm going to get something done. Well, I spent 2 years in the House and didn't get zero done. Got elected to the state Senate, and I was able to get him to run some bills in the state Senate, and Delegate Hanshaw on the House side was able to get one. We combined them and came up with a pretty good broadband bill. It was a bill that they said that providers would never ever let come out. Yeah. Because they had such a grip on it.
And it had a lot of bipartisan support.
It was a huge bipartisan support.
That's always indicative. It's a good piece of legislation.
It's a good piece of legislation if you got both sides agreeing on it. So,
absolutely.
And I just don't know why it took so long, but I think people are realizing just how important it is for the West Virginia economy now to have broadband, high-speed internet, and it's just going to, we got to make sure it gets better and better, and it helps us connect with the world, and our, like I said, education. We had that program where we took high-speed internet to all of our schools, which is great. Yeah. Until those students go home, and then Some of them don't even have dial-up. You know,
Yeah.
so it's you've got to have all pieces of the puzzle to make it work. And I think we're on our way of doing that. We took last year. What we did didn't fix everything, but it was a huge, very huge first step.
Well, and that helps residents, it helps people at home, it helps the kids, it helps education, helps businesses, as you mentioned.
Telemedicine's getting to be a big thing. These specialists, that you might have to travel to Cleveland or Baltimore or whatever, and you can, and the VA uses it a lot. We have a VA center there in Tucker County in Parsons, and they come right there, and these specialists can do video conferencing. So, it's huge.
The other thing, Randy, last your 4 years in the House and the past 2 years in the Senate, you have personally been the architect and crusaded for going back and just really modernizing a lot of our mining operational standards, both some of the environmental programs, some of the health and safety provisions that were just really out of whack with our surrounding states, a little different from federal law, but at the same time didn't add anything to safety. Just added or made the management of the mines more complicated, created confusion for the workers. And
took a lot of bureaucracy out of it and update. It was mainly, tried to modernize. Because one of them that comes right to my mind. The first thing was we took the bug light out as one of the the flame safety lamp that we hadn't used since probably 1990 was probably the last.
Well, it was actually almost it was outlawed by federal law, but yet state law still allowed it to be used. It was still
part of the West Virginia mine formants test. I think they finally quit doing it, but it was just stuff like that. We have the tracking systems now, and it's the gas monitoring systems, and the diesel equipment. We're running Mercedes engines and these diesel engines and this equipment underground. It's probably 100 times cleaner than anything that's been run outside. And we just mainly modernize.
And I think it's important to point out there that not only is the diesel equipment that's used underground because of the requirements, many of which you've been directly involved with, requires the cleanest burning machine, so there's no health effects. But most importantly, we're using diesels in place of the old electric trolley wire system,
which is extremely dangerous. And anytime you have things arcing and sparking underground, it's not good for an underground operation. And this diesel has allowed us to get away from the old trolley wires and a lot of the old electrical equipment.
And if you traced over the years and of mine fires and different things, a lot occurred because of faulty electrical equipment, trailing cables, trolley wire, and so diesel eliminates that. Plus, it eliminates. There's been a lot of personal shocks that diesels eliminate. So,
it's just like anything else that's new. Most people hate change. It seems like the older I get, the more I hate change. But a lot of it. The first year when we started making changes, we had a lot of pushback. You was involved in that. And then we got that out. There was a lot of controversy over it. I took a lot of personal attacks from it because, even though I was at that time an underground coal miner for 37 years, I was still taking personal attacks because I was trying to kill coal miners, and I was going under. When I wasn't in station, I was going underground every day, and all my friends, was underground, and I took, it hurt that people thought that I would do something to basically put my life in danger or my fellow miners' life in danger. But after that first year, and I think they seen that I had the best interest. I just wanted, and then since then we've been able to sit down with West Virginia Department of Mines, the UMWA, DEP, West Virginia Coal Association. We've all been able to work together, get changes made that everybody can agree on it. So I think it's different. One of the big things there last year was we required, they always say, well, you're trying to take this way, take that way, but we required them to have AED units. You know,
The automatic defibrillators.
yeah, automatic
Yeah.
defibrillator units on every working section. And the director had called me here a few months ago and said he just wanted me, he knew I was always taking a lot of flack, but he just wanted to tell me that there was 2 lives saved the week before that, because there was a gentleman that was electrocuted and they had an AED there, was able to bring him back, and then someone had at another mine's had a heart attack, and he was able to use the AED unit on him and bring him back. So, you know, that kind of...
Those might be the same 2 incidents I'm familiar with, and
Yeah.
there's been at least 2, maybe more.
So, you know, and that was a
where
good
people
thing.
were brought back, people were saved by that requirement. And this year, I understand you might be looking at that on surface mines.
Yeah, sir. I think we, you know, our intent was to put it on there last year's service mines also, but they, you know, they're susceptible to temperature change and stuff like that. So we're getting that worked out. So I'd say this year require them on all surface installation, because, you know, that's a small price that we can pay to save a life. And so.
What's your thoughts when you're asked the question how the industry's changed over the 39 years you've been in it?
Wow, over 39 years,
I know that's
it's
a big...
changed quite a, you know, from the first day I went underground where I was working on a Wilcox mining unit where all you did was shovel and set post, knock post out and reset
Low
them.
coal, pretty low coal.
36 inches high.
36
you know, I was 19
inches high.
19 years old at the time, so I couldn't handle it. Now I don't believe at 36 inches, but who knows, it's what you get used to. But, you know, the biggest changes I've seen, you know, is the technology. You know, used to, you wanted to start a belt line, you walk down to the belt head, push the start button, it started up, and if something happened and then, you know, caught on fire, or, you know, the motor was going out, you didn't know. But now everything's computerized, and you could head off all your problems, you know, and it monitors for, you know, gases and CO if there's a fire, and the tracking system, you know, where now, you know, where all miners are underground, and you know, we could just go on to proximity. Probably one of the best things was proximity, because you know, we had so many miners getting smashing themselves basically. A lot of them was miner operation. You know, I ran miner for 11 years, continuous miner for 11 years, and that was 11 years. The biggest.
It's hard not to find yourself in that red zone.
It is.
It really is.
You know, because it's how you're trained. You know, if you keep on doing, you know, you're doing everything wrong, then you train another guy, and so that's, you know, the training has got a lot better, where we're not doing all the stupid stuff we used to. And but the proximity, there's no doubt in my mind, proximity system has saved lives.
Well, we got underground cameras on a lot of machines too.
Our shuttle cars have cameras on both ends, you know. It's a TV screen you look at when you go turn around. You can tell if anybody's around you.
And it's almost as clear as the one in your automobile. I was really impressed.
Yeah, it's, you know, people would think you couldn't see it. It's so dark, but it, you know, illuminates so good that, I mean, it's just clear. You can read the name tag on the miner's shirt, and it, you know, it's, you know, the days of the coal miner being able to go in and basically being uneducated and, you know, not learning anything, or, you know, you can't teach an old dog new trick. You know, some of the best electricians and computer people I know are coal miners, because it's just advanced that much. You know, I mean, you just can't pull someone off, even just a normal electrician off the street, and put him working on a proximity system. You know, with the transmitter and receivers, and, you know, same way with your belt drives. They're all fiber optic, is run underground, and all these belt lines are run off of fiber optic, and your, you know, sensors are all run off of fiber optic, and outside, you know, and it can be monitored at the main office, dispatcher. You know, it just.
Someone was saying a couple years ago that all the issues, all the problems that coal mining was facing were political problems. You know, they were being driven by political agendas, and by agendas that wanted to see a, you know, a downsizing in the coal industry. The other thing that was said was, if those were technical issues or problems, they would have been long solved, because we have some of the best technical people you'll find anywhere in the world working around our coal industry within the state.
Yeah, you know, the men that I work with that takes care of these tracking systems, you know, it's and you know, the radio systems. You know, you're in total communication with each other now with radios, and, you know, a lot of it was political, you know, and politicians are, you know, before I became a politician, I used to get so aggravated. One of them I can remember at Sago, when that tragedy happened at Sago, I can remember watching that on CNN News, and the people was reporting that had no idea.
No.
I mean, they had us going to one hole in the ground, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just, and I would get mad and turn it off, but then I'd have to turn it back on, you know, because I was
Oh, you're interested.
ministered
You're
to
up like
see
the
if
rest
they, you
of
know, I
us
was
all
hoping
night
they
long.
would be saved. And
But the layout and design of a mine's almost like a large city.
oh, it
People
is.
don't
It's just
realize
like a
that.
large city. People don't
With
realize.
all the streets and
You know,
alleys.
everyone thinks it's so dark you know you can't
Yeah.
see. Which if you don't have light on, it is dark. But you know we have to rock dust everything. You go into a coal mines, it's as white
It's
as
white.
looks like it's been you know painted white or whitewashed because
Today more so than
oh
than
yeah, I
ever.
mean you know it's 80% now.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
80% of it, and you know it's just you know there's lights. You know just the equipment is so much. You know people. It's hard for people to comprehend. You know, just the technology involved in coal mining. I do several tours through the year for senators and delegates and you know county commissioners and staff. You know, and the thing that they just can't get over the technology when they look at them. You know, computer screens, and it's got the mines. You know, it's 6 different screens of the mines, and each one's doing a different thing. And you
And
know,
I'm not sure, I mean, I'm not sure, somebody asked me, we were joking about, but I'm not sure you can buy a continuous miner. And for people watching that don't know what a continuous miner, that's a machine that digs the coal out of the face. I'm not sure you can buy one with a seat on it today. I think they were all operated remotely.
yeah, they're all
Little Game Boy
remote
systems.
control. You know, you have a little remote control box, and that's good because it gets you back away from the dust. You know, right from the face, and it, you know, when you're running on the seat, you know, if something falls in, it always wants to fly. I ran it off the seat, and I ran it off of the remote control, and I 10 times rather run it off the remote control.
Yeah.
I mean, you're standing up instead of sitting down most of the time, but yeah, unless you're in low coal.
There was a lot of debate when they first come out, and some of the miners weren't real sure about it, but then after you used it for a while, you couldn't put them back on a seat.
Well, when you first
you
start
wanted to.
running, first learn how to run miner from the seat, you do everything by feel. You know, you're
Yep.
cutting the coal, and then when you're through the coal, you can feel the machine hit the rock, so you know, and you know, you just get where you know the feel and the sound. And when you go to the remote control, then you don't have that
you
feel.
lose
You
some of
have to
that.
go by basically sound, and it's just you know, it's just like anything else. It's what you get used to.
We are out of time for this segment. It's kind of gone by real quick, and I know you got to get back over to Capitol where you're making new laws for us. So with that, I just want to thank you again for taking time to join us. Wish you the best of luck, and we're going to have to end by thanking everybody for tuning in today with our conversation with Senator Randy Smith, and thanks again to the Library Television Network.